Hey guys, my name is Joanna, also known as Just Another Flutist, and today we're going to be talking about my teaching setup. The weird part about my life is that I don't have any in-person students right now. One, because my living situation, as you can see, is not really suitable to having in-person lessons. If you want to see what my living situation is like, watch last week's video. This is about a 9 or a 9.5 by 11 bedroom. I do everything at my desk, which is why I ended up with this. I did not get this from playing the flute too much. No. I got it from just horrible posture at the computer. It just so happens that you are actually sitting behind my iPad. My original dream was to have double monitors. However, this room is tiny, therefore the desk that will fit in this room is also tiny, and so 2 monitors do not actually fit on this desk. Until very recently, I used to do Skype lessons via my webcam, my high definition webcam. Let me look this up. Logitech C920. And I get to use my condenser microphone that I bought more than 10 years ago now. Besides the webcam, I don't have any other microphone attached to this computer. And this thing records my voice way nicer, more nicely, yes, I can do grammar, than my webcam, because my webcam makes me sound like I'm echoing in an echo chamber. So I have all these nice things to do Skype lessons with, but the problem is that I want to see our notes out completely, and I want to see other things out as well. So like my calendar or PDFs of the sheet music that we're looking at. It's easier to have it just kind of all out on my computer. But if I'm also teaching on Skype on my actual monitor here, I have to then put my students in the corner of the screen, and that's when it starts to feel really cramped on my monitor. So I have now switched over to using my iPad for both my FaceTime and Skype lessons. This iPad is fairly new, so the webcam works really well, and the microphone on this iPad is actually surprisingly nice too. Originally, I got this iPad because I have so many FaceTime students. I no longer have an iPhone. I used to. I just could not keep up financially with all of the crazy upgrades, and you know how expensive iPhones get, right? And I hopped off the Mac train. When I bought my MacBook back in 2010, I think, it cost 2,000 Canadian. Because I mostly work on my actual computer, it doesn't make any sense for me to drop that much money on a laptop that I will only use every now and then when I'm working remotely from somewhere else. After I hopped off of the MacBook and the iPhone train, I still needed something on the relatively cheap side to keep up with my FaceTime lessons, because I didn't want to switch everyone over to Skype, because not everyone uses Skype. So I ended up getting this guy, and I got this guy I think on a Black Friday deal for a little bit less expensive than its full price, but it is only, I think, 16 gigs of memory and only Wi-Fi enabled. So it's the cheapest version you could possibly get of the 9.7-inch iPad. This is just straight up confession. One of the reasons why I like using my iPad to teach my lessons is because I can angle the camera away from my bed. I don't want to make my bed every single day. I know that's not good. I know that I should probably make my bed every day, but sometimes you just don't want to. And I don't want it to appear unprofessional. Basically, the perspective of my students is what you guys see right now. It's you see all my friends here, but it's you see all my books there too and stuff. So it really has the feel of being in someone's office. I kind of like the office-y feeling. My new addition to my setup here are these guys. I got these guys after I started noticing that I may have been showing the first signs of carpal tunnel. These are keyboard and mouse wrist supports. They are kind of squishy, memory foam, I think, or gel or something like that. They have anti-slip rubber underneath things so that you can just kind of plop it on your desk and it won't move. I actually end up using the wrist support more like an elbow support because my desk is so freaking hard, and because it's so big and I end up being tucked literally just like right into it, my elbow actually tends to get really sore. Since I am using this brace right now, I don't actually really need an extra support. So this has become my elbow support now. Wearing this brace actually has made me realize how much I abuse my wrists when I am at the computer, because I find that now I realize that in order to actually like type at the computer or like use the mouse, I actually have to rotate my entire forearm. So that means that before I was only rotating my wrist. I can kind of see why I ended up developing the first signs of carpal tunnel. So I ended up also ordering the left wrist brace. I use this to type now. They're very easy and fast to put on, and it just has these kind of like Velcro closings on them. If I'm typing with both hands for a while, or if I'm just at the computer for a while gaming or whatever, I actually do put on my left wrist brace now too, just to make sure that I don't abuse this wrist too much either. I've been struggling for a while finding a good place to prop up my music if I'm not looking at PDFs. Now I put it on this guy, which I did show briefly in the last video. It just so happens that I have nothing on my desk to my left, which just so happens to be like right in front of where my iPad is. So it's actually really nice because the student on their end can see me looking down at my music. It does kind of really have that feeling of like I am somewhat still facing them, but looking at the music. You really feel like you're sitting across from someone instead of being in like two separate rooms, you know? Because normally if I'm looking at a PDF, I'm actually looking away from the camera. So like I would be looking like this while you, the student, would be playing on your own. But I would be looking at like in a completely different direction, you know, instead of just kind of like right under where the camera is. In terms of where my flute lives, it lives on my stand to my left. It's just easy for me to pick up my flute like this at any given moment without knocking into it. So far, this is the safest place for me to put my flute. If I lay my flute on my bed, sometimes I'm really scared that it'll like roll off. The other thing is I tend to do this kind of thing. I will scoot back like this, still be on my chair while reaching over to my music here. If my flute was on my right side, you can kind of see how that would be a very big problem. My metronome is on my phone, which is always at my desk, or on my bed, because my bed kind of acts as like an extension of my desk during the day. I bought this beautiful thing that I am sitting on. This is a memory foam butt pad. It is a butt pad. This part faces forward, and then this is where your butt is. So this empty space here is under your spine. Essentially, your spine is sitting on nothing, which is great because it relieves any kind of tension from you sitting on your butt all day teaching. This has been one of the most amazing purchases I have ever made for my teaching career. I got this as a set with the back pad for I think around $40, which is a pretty good price. This thing is also memory foam. I need to make sure there's something that forces me to sit up straight. Very last thing about this whole sitting thing. Really, it only applies because I'm so freaking short, but my desk is actually kind of high. I really should get one of those like keyboard extension things that you kind of like, you can tuck under the desk. But at the time that my parents and I bought this set from IKEA for me, we were a little bit too cheap to buy that one too. So now I have to actually make my chair as high as it goes so that it's comfortable for me to put my keyboard and my mouse on top of the desk. When I'm sitting with my back up straight and my butt is like tucked all the way back into the chair, I'm actually on my tiptoes. The balls of my feet reach the ground and that's it. So I am using an old stool to prop my feet up. I should probably actually get a stool that's a bit shorter than this. I mean, it does the job. It makes certain that my feet are flat. When you sit like that, you get a lot more support from your feet too, so you don't actually end up putting all of your weight onto your butt. I can teach without pain. That's basically my setup. Things will change over time as technology changes. If you are about to set up your own online studio, just take this video as inspiration for how you want to set yours up, because it really depends on what instrument you teach. You may need a different configuration than what I have going on here. This is just what works for me and what works for my students and what works for my room. Honestly, I think when I move and I, hopefully I can get a bigger space, I think the whole setup is probably going to end up changing again. Let me know what your teaching setup is, teachers out there or students. What is your teacher's setup? It doesn't matter if it's online or in person. I am very curious to hear how the rest of you guys set up your lessons. As usual, if you guys like this video, make sure you give me a big thumbs up and hit subscribe for new videos every Saturday. Hit that bell icon so that you get notifications of when I post. This is my last video, which I will put a link to up here for you guys. If you want to support me, head on over to my Patreon. Otherwise, you can find me on my social media, which I have listed down below. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.